The Syracuse Board of Zoning Appeals meeting of January 3rd, 2019 is now in session. Happy New Year to everyone. The first order of business is to approve the minutes from the December 6th, 2018 meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any modifications or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? The minutes are officially adopted. The second order of business is to adopt the resolutions from the December 6th, 2018 meeting. Is there a motion to adopt the resolutions?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any modifications or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Hearing none, the resolutions are officially adopted. So this is the way we work it here. The board will now conduct the public hearings on today's agenda. First, the applicant or the applicant's representative will state the reasons for the proposal for the requested variance and present any material or documentation which is to be considered regarding the proposal. Next, persons wishing to speak in favor of the proposal will be given the opportunity to address the board, and then after that, persons who wish to speak in opposition will be allowed to address the board. Finally, the applicant or representative will be given the option to make any closing arguments or comments to the board. Following today's public hearings, the board may make a decision on each application heard. The board may also decide to hold its decision until the next public hearing. If the hearing is closed, no additional information will be allowed into the record except for the information that the board may request. That information will be available for public review at the zoning office in City Hall Commons. Anybody that comes up to speak, please, the first thing, please state your name and address, and then, make your statement from there. The first case will be called now.
Good afternoon. The first application is a continuation from the last December 6th public hearing. The application V18-36 is a use variance to expand a non-conforming use for the property at 566 through 568 Clarendon Street to expand a parking area. The property owner is Clarendon Property Holdings, and the property is located within a residential Class A zoning district. Will the applicant please come forward?
Hi, my name's Anthony Luttinger. I live at 121 Dewar Road, Liverpool, New York.
And you're back. You want to explain what's happened between the last meeting and now?
Well, we're willing to come up with whatever site plan we need to come up with to create a little more green space behind 566, 68, and 602 Clarendon. But we're still, we need some parking behind the 602 property.
Did you come up with a new plan, or were you supposed to?
Well, I didn't print it, but Melissa did send me something.
Same, Mr. Luttinger or something. Any relation to Larry?
Yes.
Oh.
It's my older brother.
Page 46.
No.
I'm sorry, you said 46? 46.
This is different than last time?
The original proposal had 2 parking spaces behind 602 and 4 parking spaces behind the subject property for this case. We reduced the pavement area directly behind the house, removed the 4th parking space, and reduced the parking on 602 to 1 parking space.
And was this something that you came up with in collaboration with the applicant, or you suggested?
Drew a couple of different scenarios, sent them to him, and he replied back to me that he preferred to have 1 parking space on site at 602, so that there wouldn't be any issues with parking with the
And you're okay with this plan as it exists?
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Well, I do have a kind of, on the 602, if you have one parking space, now that's a two-family house or one?
Single.
Single family, so they only need one. Okay, all right, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Anybody wish to speak in favor of the proposal? Anybody wish to speak against the proposal? We will move on to our next series of cases.
If you'd like, I can call them all now, but we'll hear them separately so that they can continue one after another. Application V 1901 is an area variance for the required front yard and maximum driveway width for the property at 1500 through 1502 East Genesee Street to establish and maintain a parking area. The property owner is Housing Portfolio Unlimited Incorporated, and the property is located within a residential Class B zoning district.
Melissa, I would
Do
call
them
them
separately?
individually,
Okay.
yeah.
That's fine.
We'll do one at a time, but you don't have to sit down every time we finish.
That's good because they're all a little different and complicated. And
Right, yes.
if I get confused, I'm gonna make sure all of you are confused too.
We're counting on that.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Malda from Holmes King Colquist and Associates, 575 North Salina Street. And the current project, the current address is 1502 East Genesee Street. It is currently an irregular site, rather triangular in fashion. It contains a two-family dwelling, and it also currently provides a 3-car parking lot. We are proposing to remove the third parking spot because first, it's not necessary for a two-family dwelling. The parking space is irregular and partially blocks the public sidewalk. And since we don't need it, we'd rather have a grass area. And to do so, we propose to expand the existing curbing to completely block off that third area. Some of these site comments were to make certain that nobody could illegally drive over the existing curb, and currently the curb cut is about 22 feet, well beyond the 12-foot maximum, which is part of our waiver request to provide a roughly 18-foot parking curb cut so that both cars can park parallel to each other. Given the site configuration, we can't provide a turnaround to prevent anyone from backing directly out, but we do wish to maintain the on-site parking that currently exists.
There's an area there. Okay. What's your plans for, in general for this space here?
As far as the dwelling itself,
Yeah.
it's currently a two-family dwelling, and we're going to maintain it as a two-family dwelling. We're just going to do porch repairs, roof replacement, siding replacement, interior renovations for finishes, flooring, painting, window and door replacement.
And according to this, you've owned it since 2010.
The client has owned it
The client
since
has.
2010.
Okay. And have they been renting it?
They have been
Now
renting it
Clean it
continuously.
up or make improvements? Is that?
The last improvements were done in 1995, so the current windows, doors have gone past their warranty. They're no longer as energy efficient as they could be. And the siding is tired, worn out, and we just want to give it a basic facelift and improve the neighborhood.
The, under our waivers part, it said, a legal maximum driveway width is 12 feet and required front yard setback is 18.6, and you have 17 feet and 0. Can I make the assumption that that is what exists now?
Yes, yes. The property itself, the parking is in the back of the property, well off the intersection, but given the triangular shape of the lot, we can't provide any real depth for the front yard requirements because basically our backyard is almost as deep as the requirements for the front yard.
route, I'm looking at photos.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Other questions from the board? Please?
How many units are in this building?
It's a two-family building.
I'm sorry, how many bedrooms are in each unit?
3 each, total of 6 bedrooms.
Okay. And are the tenants generally like college students or?
No,
Families?
it's low-income, affordable housing for families.
Okay.
And the driveway width, I'm looking for a driveway here, I don't, or is that it? There's no garage.
There is no garage.
So, facing, no. Is that in the, is the driveway in the back of the building?
It's in the back of the building.
Gotcha, okay, so I'm looking at the right thing,
Yeah, the street address is 1502 East Genesee, but you access the parking from Maple Beach, from Beach Street.
Okay. Other questions?
So again, right now there are 3 spaces back behind the house or 2?
There's 3 that are paved, but the third one is non-compliant. Yeah.
I would see what the third would be. Oh, that. I see. You're getting rid of the one, there's the driveway, and then to the left, off the street, is the space you're getting rid of.
Yes, yes.
Got it.
It's that very top portion of that parking lot.
Other questions? Thank you. Anybody wish to speak in favor of the application? Anybody wish to speak against the application? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next case.
The next application is application V 19-02. This is an area variance for the lot width, required parking, number of driveways, required front yard, and driveway width. The property is 1460 through 1462 East Genesee Street. The proposal is to establish a 4-family dwelling, and the property owner's Housing Portfolio Unlimited Incorporated. And the property is located within a residential Class B zoning district.
Okay.
Okay, should he state his name, everything? Please.
Mike Malda, Holmes King Colquist and Associates, 575 North Salina Street. This property is directly across the street from the previous application. In a similar situation, we access the driveway from South Beach Street. Currently, it is a 3-family dwelling with 3 non-conforming / illegal parking spaces. We are going to be renovating the building similarly to the last application with new siding, windows, doors, interior renovations, basic maintenance repairs. And we are requesting an area variance because the size of the irregular lot does not provide us enough open space as required by zoning. And the parking area requires a waiver to provide something wider than the required 12-foot width. And we would like to request a waiver in the reduction of the number of required parking spaces. We are currently able to provide, let me double check this. Two parking spaces. And we've been able to rearrange the site so that we can move them further away from the street towards the back. And in this case, we have enough space to provide a turnaround area so that we don't have to back up directly over the parking or over the public sidewalk. Again, this site is weirdly reconfigured, and we're trying to improve the current almost 30-foot curb cut and reduce it to another similarly 20 to 22-foot curb cut.
Curious, when the owner bought these places, did they buy them from the same person? What's your name and address, please?
My name is Dania Kimoski, 1201 East Fayette Street. So Housing Visions owns.
Are you an owner?
Yes, I am. I represent the owner. Yes. So Housing Visions currently owns all these properties in our different portfolios. So back, these properties were purchased back in the early 1990s, and we rehabbed them back then. And now we're in the process of going back and rehabbing them and bringing them up to energy standards, because most of these units are affordable to lower income families. We want to be able to have them less utility bills and stuff. And this is the process we're going through right now, because we want to make our houses obviously comply with everything around the area and make them appealing to everyone. As everyone knows, the older the stock gets, the less appeal they are. Everyone wants the new stuff, so we want to make our older stuff look like they're new. So back when we bought this back in the early 90s, I forgot which year, it was a 3-family. We are going to turn it into 4-family. The issues we were having with this one is the 3rd floor. It's a 3rd floor walk up, and most moms do not want to walk up 3 flights of stairs, obviously, with groceries and kids. So what we're doing now within this unit configuration is turning the 2nd and 3rd floor into townhouse-style units, where they go up to the 2nd floor as their living area and the 3rd floor is their bedrooms. So that's what we're kind of doing with this property, along with all the other rest of the properties we're here in front of you as well. So back when we brought the property, it was the way that was allowed back then to reconfigure per the city zoning laws and codes and stuff. The parking was on the side. We've been working with the city to make sure we can obviously tuck it back, and that's what we're doing with that. And with the constraints we had, we're only allowed to fit 2 spots back there. And we don't see any issues with our parking, because most of our tenants do not have cars. So parking has not been an issue on any of our other properties either in the city.
So Housing Portfolio Unlimited is a division of Housing Vision?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Nick, you knew, I didn't know that. It doesn't say Housing, okay. So this is a not-for-profit
Yes, yep.
endeavor. Okay, I wouldn't have known that from this. Okay, thank you. Questions, other questions? Okay, thank you on that one. Anybody wish to speak in favor of the application? Anybody wish to speak against the application? Hearing none, we will move on to our next case.
The next application is application V19-03. This is an area variance for the required parking and minimum lot width for the property at 1537 through 1539 East Genesee Street to establish a 4-family dwelling. The property owner is Housing Portfolio Unlimited Incorporated, and the property is located within a residential Class B zoning district.
Who are you?
My twin brother, Mike Malda, Holmes King Colquist and Associates, 575 North Salina Street. In this case, we have an existing 3-family dwelling that, again, we are going to convert into a 4-family dwelling, which requires 4 parking spaces. The site in question currently provides 4 parking spaces. The problem with that is that the 4th parking space goes over the property line. And given the configurations we have with the non-conforming site and setbacks, we can't provide 3 legally compliant parking spaces. So we're requesting a waiver for one of those required parking spaces.
Any questions?
On the site plan, it would be the project furthest on the left. This house is currently compliant, has plenty of parking. It would just be this site. Given their proximity, our landscape architect found it easier to combine sites where possible.
And where would the parking spot that you'd be eliminating, where would that be on the site?
The parking spot that we're taking out is right here at the top of the property line. We'll be turning that into green space and snow storage. Currently, when they plow their current parking configuration, it all goes over the property line to the neighbor's backyard.
Okay.
Questions? Okay, no any questions? Anybody here wish to speak in favor of the application? Anybody against? We will continue.
The next application is application V19-04, a use variance to waive the uses permitted for the property at 506 North McBride Street to establish a 4-family dwelling. The property owner is Housing Portfolio Unlimited Incorporated, and the property is located within a residential Class A zoning district.
Mike Malda, Holmes King Colquist and Associates, 575 North Salina Street. In this instance, which one is it? We're requesting a use variance to allow a multifamily dwelling in a RA district. Currently, single-family housing is allowed. Our property is currently non-conforming. At this time, it currently provides 4 dwelling units, well over the single-family requirements. And we honestly are not certain how that happened, but this is an attempt to correct everybody's records and make this a conforming property again. The second waiver is for parking as well. We'll be reducing it down to 3 dwelling units, which requires 3 parking spaces. However, this particular site is on a fairly steep hill. The intersection is at the crest of the hill, and the amount of width that we have to provide 3 parking spaces would be well over the 12-foot curb cut allowance. What we're proposing is diminishing the existing curb cut, angling the existing parking area, cutting part of it off to make green space, and providing only 2 parking spaces. Again, we don't have the lot depth to provide the turnaround area, so the tenants would be required to back out over the parking lot and into the street. And that's not an ideal condition given the location at the top of the intersection at the crest of the hill, and we're trying to minimize the potential for accidents but provide as much parking as we can with the existing parking spaces.
Now, this property has a garage, right, in the basement?
It did have a garage in the basement, but in order to use that, tenants would have to work out a parking plan, which in the past has not worked out. It tends to lead to a couple confrontations. And second, the existing garage it's basically not wide enough to park your car and open your door. If you have a sports car and can climb out the sunroof, it's perfectly conforming. But at this time, we're proposing to infill the overhead garage door opening, turn that into a 3-foot wide, 6'8" high man door, and use that to store snow shovels, sidewalk supplies, things of that nature.
Okay, I'm not sure I got it before. It says it was a 4-family dwelling, and you want to make it a 3-family dwelling.
It's currently a 4-family dwelling.
It is a 4.
And we're reducing it to a 3-family dwelling. At the time we were going through the site review, the zoning office realized that we had a 4-family dwelling in an RA district and has been working with us to make this a bit more conforming and get everything correct in everybody's books.
What I don't understand about that is a 3-family dwelling isn't,
Still not,
It's still
Right.
not conforming.
not our zoning district.
so we're actually giving a use variance to allow a 3-family dwelling instead of a 1 or 2-family dwelling.
It was non-conforming with respect to being a 4-family. They're reducing it. Still not
3, but not all the way
It
down.
is still not, yeah.
It's
so
still not
We still have to
conforming.
give permission to have a 3-family dwelling there. And it's operated as a 4-family
It's
dwelling.
been operating as a 4-family. They've been renting it out regularly. It's been in use since we've taken on this project to clean things up.
And how long was it owned?
I believe you purchased it in 1995.
Yeah, I actually found one of the original, well, Diana Yakimowski, 1201 East Vegas Street for the owner. I actually found one of the TCOs that we got from the city, and the TCO was dated back of February 26, 1996. So that's when the original rehab work got completed. So obviously the city was aware of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions?
Rate of return. So this could be potentially at a maximum a 2-family dwelling. You can have 1 or 2, right? So when we talk about the rental in versus a 3-family, which you're asking for, what's the balance here? Is that you literally can't pay the debt service if you don't have a 3-family, or
Correct. So these properties are getting new debt services on them based on the loans we're getting. So there's permanent loans here. We're getting money from the state as well, which has already been approved. And it's one of these units, and the way we structured this project, because this project is encompassed of 20 of our properties, so it's between the east and the north side. So it's not just these, all the remaining properties that we're rehabbing are actually in conformance, and we don't need any of the variance associated with them. So what we ended up doing this project, you're right, I need to keep, in order to make sure my operating budget complies and able to pay the debt service, this needs to stay a 3-family. And plus, one of the units in this building is actually designated for higher incomes. So one of the units in this project actually is going up to 80% of area median income. So we do have units set aside in this project for in the higher end, because our current residents who do live in these units actually are now over income and they actually qualify. So they've actually improved their lives by living in our apartments. So yes, we request that you allow us to have this as a 3-family.
What's the dollars and cents on that one?
I would have to run them for you. I didn't bring that with me. I apologize.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to consider, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, your debt service for your, that this balances out with your other properties. We have to look at this as a single.
Standalone.
Yeah.
I would have
entity.
to run it as a single loan to obviously to run the debt service that's tied to this building along with the proposed rents we would be obviously getting from this property to make sure, you know what I mean? But when we ran this whole entire project, it all works together as a whole.
Would they need a variance for a 2-family? No. And
They would, not a use variance.
they may,
Right, closing off the garage, they're
Yeah.
creating a front yard parking
Right.
situation, and the site plan also indicates that the driveway is wider than what would be allowed.
yeah. To give a use variance, one of the criteria, and all criteria are supposed to be met, is that there is a absolute need to be able to financially,
There is a
make
need.
it.
I mean, this building has this building, the new units that we created in this building have higher bedroom counts, which is a need in the city of Syracuse. Based on our waiting list that we have on our own portfolio, one of the units is a 4-bedroom, one of the units is a 5-bedroom, and there is a need for larger family units that do not exist, frankly, within the city themselves. So this, if we were to drop this down, we are eliminating a potential bedroom size for a larger family that is in need for a nicer new home with lower utility costs that helps them out financially as well, to be able to sustain their lifestyle and then take care of their kids and all the other household needs they need.
I think that's a compelling financial argument, but I believe we're supposed to look specifically at the applicant's ability to make a reasonable return.
That applies to not-for-profits as well, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's the hardship with the property, not with who can live there or who can't. So if you, depending on what the board says, we can give you the tests. I know that they're on the application, but you can review them again and try to address those, especially with the financial. And what the board is really asking for is what is the financial hardship with the property with respect to going from making all these rehabilitations efforts from a 4-family to a 3, and then the comparison to what it would be as a 2. So I think depending on what the board says today, that could be an option to explore more information.
I think an additional question would be, I'm assuming I believe you said you already have received the go-ahead and the approvals.
Correct, from the state, yeah,
From
this
the
project
state.
was approved as such with this building as a
what it is.
family, yep.
So if we were to say, no, you can't do this, I'm assuming you'd have to reapply to the state and see if they allow
That's the
you
financial
to.
hardship, then we would have to reapply to the state. It changes the whole entire project of the way that it's approved. It'll delay the project as a whole, not just this property as a whole. It will delay the whole entire project because we are not going back resubmitting something that was not what they originally thought this project would be and what the unit configuration would be for the project.
And when you did receive the funding from the state, was the grant written to say fund all of these projects at
Correct.
one time?
Yep,
Okay.
it was.
So this would affect every property?
Yeah, it will affect all the other 19 as well that's included with this property.
Okay.
And did you guys speak to the city about the potential issues with this property and all of the others before you put in for all your funding from the state? Because full well knowing that the state's a tough bird to deal with.
It is. I mean, to be flat out honest with you, we were not, since we already had this project, this building's already operational, we were not aware that there was nothing in the files approving as a 4-unit house. When we have our TCO from the states, from the city, which we use to prove, place of service and occupancy for our tax credits investors back in the day. So we weren't, and I apologize for my ignorance, I was not aware at that time, because we were on the assumption that these were already operational. We had no issues with the city. We already got TCOs. They were already funded once through this process, and we had approvals for it. We were not aware that there wasn't any issues with this building until we did sit down with Heather to go over this whole entire project and to make sure we were all in line with what variances we might need to just to make sure everyone was on the same page of this.
On page 174, the last zone check that came through our office for certificate of compliance, April 19th, 2018, for this property, we did note that it was a non-conforming 4-family. In our discussions, when we did sit down with Diana and Mike Maldo, we did note this is a use variance. Even though you're reducing it, a 3-family still is not allowed, and the driveway situation still raises it to the level of a 3-family, or a use variance for the 3-family.
So, and this happens more than occasionally, that somebody comes before us for a use variance, and we ask them to come back, and it's basically a P&L, right? It basically says, this is what the financial outlook will be for a 3-family, and this is what it would be if it were a 2-family. Need to show us, what the difference would be. So with a 2-family, with a 3-family, you may break even or make money as a not-for-profit. That would be your goal, somewhere in between that. But if you're going to lose money by making this a 2-family, that's what we need to see.
Okay.
And
We can hold this one.
yeah, right, yeah. So it's not that we want to give you a hard time or hold up your entire thing, but that's really what we need here, because we do have to satisfy all that criteria. Now, it may cost a lot more to convert it to a 2-family than to a 3-family. In your case, that would be in your favor, because you need to show us that a 2-family isn't viable, financially viable.
Okay.
So, does the board agree that that's a good thing to do, to ask them to come back with a financial statement?
That in addition to, I would suggest if we end up holding this, that they go through the test, the 4 things, which I think Melissa or Heather could give them, and come back with information on all of them, because it's an and test. So we need proof.
It's more than
reflecting
4.
all of 5, 4, 5. I usually lump 2 of them together, but.
What's you got something? Yeah, okay. So, would you like to make a motion?
Me?
I have a question before we do that. How, Diana, how does that impact the rest of the project and I know that, being full disclosure, I'm on the board of Housing Visions, and I know that as leases have expired, correct me if I'm wrong on this, that families have been moved out of these projects.
Correct.
Obviously, there's a huge need in the city of Syracuse for quality, affordable housing. I guess my question is, what impact does this delay have on the project? How many families have been displaced or are waiting for homes in this project?
So currently, the original unit configuration was 64 units in this project. So 64 families have been displaced. We've been able to relocate them into our other portfolio properties that we have, and other ones actually have been moved outside due to family size. And obviously, we can't if the ramifications of this whole entire project is we were slated to start construction in February. Obviously, get in the ground. We have abatement to do on these projects. Any further delay will just keep pushing us back, which will get into the busy season for all contractors and stuff. So we're trying to hold our contractors trying to hold their price as well. Obviously, during the winter time, everyone's looking for work. It gives them more opportunity, to be more competitive on the bidding and to able to keep our prices the way they are, and also to keep us on schedule with the state as well, because they're assuming this will be closing.
Talking 3 weeks till the next meeting. Today is the 3rd, and the next meeting is the 24th. Is today the 4th?
January 24th.
24th is
Another question I have is though, that like, would typically we wanna see dollar and cents on this, it's one of the tests that have to be met. However, if this is a state-supported project via low-income housing tax credits, or is there housing trust fund dollars going into this
Correct, there
too?
is, there's housing trust fund, there's, SHOP money in here, there's HHEP funding as well.
So I'm wondering if hardship can be proved based on the fact that the state has allocated subsidy dollars to this project based on a specific project. If that changes, it could impact the entire project moving forward. I'm wondering if that's a hardship, a financial hardship, outside of the typical, because it's not the typical, you know, like 2-family or 3-family project. This impacts an entire project.
From where I'm sitting, I would see that as a hardship, I think.
Well, because use variance runs with the land and this land only, and the burden is on the applicant to provide all the information that the burden of proof is on the applicant. So there has to be a hardship with this property, not necessarily a program as a whole, because we're looking at this individually. What unique characteristics about this property make it that it cannot meet the letter of the law with respect to zoning? So I don't think the answer would be affirmative there, but let me check with the law department. If the board wishes to hold this so that we can go over some information with you, and you can you know, do a little bit of homework, we'll give you all the, you know, I can print out the whole state's treatise on the use variance, the tests, and then I'll talk to the law department about your question, Nick.
Is it legal non-conforming right now? So it is. So it can remain as a 4-family.
Yes, but they are making some, from what I understand, they're making some site improvements that essentially are expanding the non-conforming.
Take that off the table.
Driveway, which you've seen before, they're expanding the area in which they can use the property. So, but I will talk to the law department, and we'll make sure we get you the information that you need in order to answer the questions that are here, that the board wants.
So this would that would put it off till our next meeting.
Yes.
Okay, do we need a motion for that?
You should make a motion to hold,
Just to hold, okay.
if that's your desire.
I'll make a motion to hold
I'll second.
this.
I'm
next
just not
meeting?
sure if maybe you wanna first ask if there's anyone in favor or against, and then,
Okay, is there anybody here to speak for this project? Yes.
I'm here to speak against it.
Oh, okay, that's next. Is anybody here to speak for the project? Is there anybody here to speak against the project? Yes, okay, so give them the, give part of the podium now, let's hear it.
Hi, Catherine Duclos, 607 North McBride Street. First, I want to say, you know, Housing Visions has done a great job restoring a lot of housing stock in Syracuse, which is a fantastic thing. However, I think that for Prospect Hill, an area from Butternut Street to James Street, Lodi to Townsend, the area has become saturated with low income, aka affordable housing rental stock, which is putting pressure on the owner-occupied properties who have owner-occupied in duplexes, owner-occupied in 3 families, to only lease to low-income people. Over the last few years, over 100 new units have been added to this relatively small geographic area. And I guess that's my opposition, that Prospect Hill is saturated now with affordable housing, and it's pushing out economic diversity, which is very important for people of all economic brackets. And we need to maintain that diversity, encourage owner-occupied home ownership, and also increase services. There's not a decent grocery store on Prospect Hill. There's one mediocre gas station. There are just not services to support this growing density population. And to encourage home ownership, for other people.
Let me ask you, first, do you see this property as being a good opportunity for an owner occupant? Is that what you're saying?
I think that there would be quite a few millennials who are making big investments in the south side, buying duplexes and triplexes, fixing them up, living in one unit and renting out the rest.
Yeah.
And so if it were to be converted to a 3-family, and rather than being affordable housing, rental affordable housing, then selling it off to an owner occupant who would rent out the other 2 units, that would be a positive thing for the neighborhood.
So it was it presently is.
It's a 4-family. But if they were to stick with their plan of converting it
Right,
to
no,
a
I understand what
3-family.
you're saying, so I don't,
And I don't know all the rules and regulations, I'm just a citizen.
Right.
That's become very
no,
concerned.
you made a point, yeah, we understand your point.
With my-
And they're gonna be able to address that. I don't know if it's within
You know-
their mission. They do own the place.
And I know they're
you know.
experiencing hardships, but I think that they're imposing a hardship on this Prospect Hill.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome to respond if you like. You don't have to.
I understand your concern, and I agree more home ownership should be in the area as well. The problem with this property, and all the other ones we do own, they have regulatory agreements with the state, which they have to stay affordable for 50 years. So once they go into this program, you are not allowed to sell them to home ownership. So even if this was stated for a unit, we couldn't sell it for another, we're in maybe 20 years, 15 years in that property, it still's got another 25 years, whatever is left, before those agreements expire. So they're kind of per the mandates of the state and the way that the IRS rules were back in 1986 when Ronald Reagan did the new IRS code with these tax credit, low-income housing tax credits. These are bound for 50 years as affordable housing, so there is really no movement with them as it is.
That takes care of that. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, thanks. No, that's not within our, I mean, if you want to come back up. Yeah, later on, just to the microphone, please.
Just really very quickly, sorry about this. 513 Hickory Street, home ownership. It was a Housing Vision project that went to home ownership. 505 Hickory Street, Housing Vision project, home ownership. 717 North McBride, it was a home headquarters Housing Vision's joint project, home ownership. And so those are things that have all been accomplished in the last few years. Okay,
Thank you.
I'll be quiet now.
Again, you're welcome to respond, but you don't.
Those properties are a little bit different because they weren't within the tax credit program. So when we're allowed to do that, when we partnership with home headquarters or whoever, those properties are specifically not designed to go into these programs, and we are then allowed to sell them to home ownerships to homeowners because they're not within the same programs.
I get the strong impression that they can't do what you would like them to do, so.
They have to hold on to them, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Until the 50-year
correct.
mark.
Any of the low-income housing projects that go within the state of into homes and community renewal are bound by these regulatory agreements for 50 years.
Talk to your state.
I just ask, what is the rent range that you get from these properties?
Currently, or what they're going to be?
Currently, and what?
Currently, I would have to go back. I apologize because the way they range anywhere maybe from $400 to maybe $600 or $700, depending on the unit size, obviously, and the AMI targeting for those units. Each of them are set at differently. Some we have set at 40, some are at 50, some are at 60. The new project, as I said, in one of the units in this building will be set to up to 80% of area median income. So we are trying to bring more diversity into our own portfolio and expand the income options for individuals to live in our portfolio.
So that in and of itself would help to address some of the economic diversity that was brought up.
Okay.
Will that be the same in some of the other properties that we heard about today?
Correct, yep. So there's about 10 units scattered within the homes between the east side and the north side where they will be set at the 80% of area median income rents levels.
Thank you. So, we still need somebody want to make a motion?
Make the motion to hold this till the next meeting?
I'll second.
Okay, and is that enough of a motion? Yeah. Okay, without explaining. Okay, all those in favor of the motion to hold this case, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, sorry, thank you.
Oh, no, no problem.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's new business.
No, I mean, it's not perfectly, we go to those meetings every year.
The next application is application V05-03M5. This is a use variance modification for the uses permitted for the property at 339 through 341 Webster Avenue, also known as 2648 South Salina Street, to co-locate an antenna for T-Mobile and new concrete pad and accessory structures. The property owner is Duncan Bright Holdings Incorporated, and the property is located within a Business Class A zoning district.
Hello, my name is Alan Hinckley, and I reside at 223 Henry Williams Road in Roxbury, New York. I'm here to represent T-Mobile along with the tower owner, American Tower Corp. As you just heard, they're proposing to add antennas to an existing cell tower. The antennas will be below the existing antennas at a height of 64 feet. And in addition, they will be adding a concrete pad, which will be 10 by 15. It'll be adjacent to the existing building that's there. And there will be probably 4 to 6 cabinets added to that concrete pad. And that's basically the extent of the project.
I will, aesthetically, we're not talking about deep aesthetics, but is it gonna make it look,
The only
change the
difference,
look?
the only difference to the tower will be the addition of approximately 9 antennas below the existing ones that are on there in a similar type array.
And what will these antennas accomplish?
This is for service for T-Mobile. The existing antennas, I believe, on there are for Verizon. So this would be, typically each carrier needs approximately 10 feet of the height of the tower. And in this case, Verizon takes, I believe, 15. And so T-Mobile would be below that at the height of 64 feet.
Enhances T-Mobile services?
Yes, it's to improve T-Mobile's
It's not a
coverage.
detriment to the others?
No, no.
Is this 4G or 5G service?
It's,
4G right now, we made it,
Okay.
Please come up to the microphone.
yes, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Tell us your name and address.
Doug Morrison, 6615 Towpath Road, Pyramid Network Services. So,
Doug, Pyramid is the contractor for the project, so.
so everybody's going to 5G eventually, so there's enough room, that's why there's only 3 antennas per sector. It's a 3-sector site with 3 antennas representing a vast array of technology that's currently existing, including 4G. 5G will be coming hopefully by the end of the year, maybe next year, and it'll be a simple just additional antenna that will go to the sector when that happens.
Questions? Okay, anybody? No?
I just have one question.
Sure.
I'm curious as to the reason for the new concrete pad. Is this going, you said that the Verizon antennas are on there already,
Yes,
and that the T-Mobile ones would go below that?
yes. And there will be on the ground next to the Verizon building, which they have an exclusive building there for their equipment.
Oh, okay.
And next to that building, again, behind the existing structure, will be a small concrete pad where T-Mobile will install their equipment.
Okay.
They don't use an enclosed building, they use cabinets that they install on that pad.
So,
And-
let me ask staff, so this is a modification, so we've allowed the use of putting antennas up there. So the modification is just to add some more? Yes, okay.
So then one of the tests is not the reasonable return on this one? And if so, how do you prove that?
Well, you.
Just to be consistent.
Look at the expansion and apply those tests to the amount that it's being increased or expanded.
So that would be on the applicant, that would be a burden of the applicant. So are you prepared to show us that?
Aren't we, because it's a communications device, aren't we required by federal law to approve this? I thought it was because it's a communication.
Due to the Telecommunications Act, you are bound to approve it as a co-location, provided it doesn't increase the height of the tower or expand the width of the tower by
In our
more.
approval, we could
than 6
skip
feet.
that test then,
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
that's a federal mandate, yes.
Well,
So this isn't a and test, it's an or test.
not necessarily. This is something that's, a use variance was already granted. This is a third modification of it. So it's, the expansion keeps growing. So you have to consider the effects of that increased use.
In other words, how far would it creep? You know, year after year?
Well, I mean, you consider the here and now of it.
So
How
I
the
guess,
Federal Communications Act applies or refers to that, I'd have to check the law.
so I guess by not allowing this, we'd have to understand the financial impact it would be to Duncan Bright as the owner of the site by not allowing this.
Potential
Expansion.
impact be on T-Mobile for, you know, maybe they have dead spots in that area and people can't use their phones there or whatever.
Forgive me, but I'm not an attorney and I can't address the legal question about this, other than to say, as far as I understand, since this is a federally mandated requirement through the Telecommunications Act, that you shall approve anything that does not increase the height of the tower.
So why are they coming before
There's
us?
really
That's
no
the thing.
incidents there that can be addressed at whether it's financial or not.
So if it's a cram down, then why do we even hear
I'm not
these?
sure that's necessarily the case, so if you'd like to hold this, I can get more information from law, I'm sorry, our attorney's in here too.
We've approved these before.
That's a very common thing. I've been to
Yes,
probably
Yeah,
50 of
we've
these in the
done them
last year.
before.
Been around here a while. Okay, any other questions? I am not up to that yet, Mike. Thank you very much. Anybody here speak in favor of the application? Anybody speak against? Hearing none? Thank you. Is there another case?
We have new business, Catherine Street.
Just a question, will you be voting on this today?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very well. Actually, modification of previously approved area variance. Is anybody here to talk on that?
This is also housing portfolio unlimited, the new business item, B 95-52M1.
Is that you? Would you like to just briefly explain what you're asking for? Of course, preceded by your name and address.
Mike Walda, Holmes King Colquist and Associates, 575 North Salina Street. The address was 601 Hickory, correct?
Catherine.
Okay, I wasn't quite prepared to present this today, but it's an existing three-family building with on-site parking. There was a previous variance approval for the current site layout and parking configuration. Our current proposal is to maintain the site. We will be replacing existing landscaping, plantings, adding more shrubs and flowers. The majority of the work is going to be within the building itself. It's currently a three-family dwelling, and it will remain a three-family dwelling. The interior improvements are going to require some wall relocation to provide better-sized bathrooms, linen closets, bulk storage closets, and laundry areas for the tenants. We'll also be replacing doors, windows, the exterior siding, and doing porch repairs. Basically, we're going to improve cosmetically the exterior, but leave the parking as it is and as it was approved in the previous variance.
We have a note here that says that that the parking area should be repaved according to the arrangement that was approved in 1995 and not what is currently existing. The driveway was expanded after 1995 without the proper approvals.
Yes, we are going to repave it, but we can do it in such a way to maintain the footprint, but we can chop off the portion of the driveway that's currently on the neighbor's property. Fortunately, Housing Visions owns that neighboring property, but we're going to clean things up while it's fresh in everyone's memory.
Any questions?
That was the problem from the 1995 approval? Was
Well,
that little?
the main reason for the modification is that the floor plans were included in the 1995 approval, and those floor plans are changing, so we just wanted to make sure everything was.
Kept the paperwork up.
If they were expanding the parking surface, it would have been.
Case.
Okay,
It would
yeah,
have been a waiver.
Okay. Any questions? You'll have to ask if anybody wants.
No, it's not public hearing.
Thank you. Is that it? Okay. So, let me ask a question. Do we vote? Melissa, do we vote on the other Housing Vision cases? Or is everything on hold because?
Oh, no, they're individual.
They're individual, okay, so they're individual for us and not necessarily for them, okay. So, oh, Clarendon. Oh, he was here, okay. B 1836, the use variance, at 566, 568 Clarendon, is there a motion? They said that they worked with the zoning office to come up with a plan, and I'm assuming the plan is satisfactory to them, so.
It's on page 5.
Is there a motion? There's gotta be a motion.
I will say, I will make a motion to deny on the basis that he did not show any financial reasons if his parking spot is expanded or contracted.
We didn't ask him either.
we didn't.
We didn't ask.
We didn't.
Is there a second on that?
I'll second for consistency reasons.
So, since we're in a comment stage, we deal with use variances all the time, and it sounds like you're being consistent for their sake, and that's, every case is different. So there. Okay, a rationale?
Well, again, the applicant did not show us any documentation about his a financial hardship or increase if his variance was granted. Is the hardship unique? Well, it's hard to say.
So, I would say that if that's the case, then we should ask him to produce it instead of denying his variance. That's in our court, because we didn't ask him.
Okay, we can do that.
So, I will vote against the denial. I don't know what we're gonna end up with, unless somebody with.
I would support that
I would,
motion.
Yeah, somehow we overlooked that, and I will.
So you're withdrawing?
I will withdraw my.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, or I'll support that to hold it open.
Yeah, okay. Well,
So, we're gonna.
we need to know if we make a motion that we're gonna hold this case open, will you contact them to say we need the breakdown of the criteria and why they meet it?
If you're requesting additional financial
Yeah,
proof.
yeah, okay.
And I think that's probably the better way to go, because obviously this plan was worked out between the zoning office and the property owner, and
Yeah, the physical plan.
Yeah.
But then again.
but I'd hate to see the whole thing thrown out on a denial, and then a new plan has to come back before us.
Well, yeah, I don't think that's necessary at this point. So is there, what's the motion?
Make a motion to hold this case for more information regarding the financial,
Impact, right, okay.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. V 19-01, area variance, 1502 East Genesee Street. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Rationale?
My rationale is that this creates a reduction of parking on the property, increases green space. They're agreeing to create some sort of an impediment to illegal parking. And since there's no room for a turnaround, it just kind of makes sense to reduce the parking down to this. As far as the five-part test, will there be a change to the neighborhood character? Yeah, but it's probably a positive change as it will return it to something that's more in keeping with the rest of the neighborhood. Are there alternate solutions available so that a variance isn't needed? Not really. What is the magnitude of the variance being requested? I think it's pretty minimal compared to the existing use of the property. Will there be an adverse effect on the surrounding neighborhood if this variance is approved? I think there'll be aesthetic improvements to the neighborhood, nothing adverse. And is this a self-created difficulty? No, it's a rather oddly shaped parcel that I think contributes to this.
I'll agree with that.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the variance say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Next is V 1902. Am I on the right one?
Yep.
Area variance for 1462 East Genesee Street. Is there a motion?
It's an 87.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve.
I'll second.
Thank you. Your rationale, Mike?
This is an area variance, so will there be a change to the neighborhood? Well, he's proposing changing enhancing the parking area, so it should be an improvement. Are there alternate solutions available? Well, to make the enhanced parking, probably not. The magnitude is minimal. Will there be an adverse effect on surrounding neighborhood? Probably not. And the self-created difficulty, I'm gonna say no.
Nick, anything?
No, nothing to add to that.
Okay, fine. All those in favor of approving the variance say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Abstentions, that passes. So now we're on 03, 1537, 1539 East Genesee Street. Another area variance for parking and minimum lot width. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
So this is a reduction from 4 to 3 parking spaces and a variance on the minimum lot width, which is 50 feet is required. This is a little less than 2 feet under that. So allowing this variance will not change the character of the neighborhood at all. Are there alternate solutions available so that a variance is not needed? Possibly, but I think that the plan that they've provided is sufficient for the changes that they're making at the property, and again, without impacting the character of the neighborhood. In my opinion, the magnitude of the variance being requested is minimal. I don't think there will be an adverse effect on the surrounding neighborhood if this is approved, and I don't believe it's a self-created difficulty.
All those in favor of approving the variance, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions, okay, that passes. We skip to V-0503 M5. The use variance of the antenna. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve.
I'll second.
Well, one of the tests, can the applicant realize a reasonable return, provided that, well, obviously we haven't seen this, but again, it is speculation, because the more people that use the phone service, the more income they will have, and without the panels, their income will not be there. The alleged hardship relating to the property is unique. It is because it's a phone service, which is a unique thing. The requested variance, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. This is true because we already have the cell tower there, and this is just kind of a minor addition. And the alleged hardship is not created because it is the improvement in technology. There will always be changes to these products.
And I agree with that as well. I would add that this particular location is already pretty commercial as it is, with Duncan Bright taking up so much property there. So I think the impact to the rest of the neighborhood would be minimal.
Call the question. All those in favor of approving the variance, say aye.
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 No, anybody?
Against.
I'm abstaining, because I don't know the answer to that federal communications item.
It fails.
Fails. So what do they do next?
I will get more information from the law department. You can move to hold this open and have them come back if you'd like. So make another motion to do that, if you'd like.
Yes. I'll make a motion in light of the failed motion that we request more information from the legal department.
And what do we specifically? Oh, is there a second?
There's a couple things.
I'll second that.
There are, okay. Just give me a basic rundown. What needs to be clarified?
Well, a couple things. With respect to Nick's first question, what tests do they have to meet, as this is
Okay.
essentially an expansion? It's something that was already approved, so therefore, I don't know, technically is the right word, but they did prove their hardship already, that they can't use the property in a way that it is allowed for. So, that's number one, to have a conversation with the law department on that. And secondly would be the federal law that the gentleman refers to.
That we have to approve it.
Well, unless they're expanding on it. So,
And are those,
All right.
those would answer your questions?
That would answer mine.
Yeah. Okay, did we vote?
Mike made a motion.
You moved to keep it open.
Second?
And a second.
Okay, all those in favor of keeping the hearing open, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. New business, 601 Catherine Street, V9552 M1. That's the other housing vision, but yeah, there's a lot.
Yes.
Testing our.
It's a modification.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
My rationale is that this isn't that different from what's already there. Yes, some of the internal portion of the building will be changing, but from the aesthetics from the outside and the use will essentially remain the same.
And I would make the suggestion, what's the word, caveat, that they fix the driveway pave the driveway as it's supposed to be according to the 1995 approval.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Then the authorizations for next time, we got an extra sheet on that, right?
My goodness.
Okay, so, it went from 1 to 4 cases. Is there a motion to approve the author?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Adjourn.
7.
After you.
All the holdovers.
Oh, you got the two.